All right, cool. Alan, how are you, man?
I'm good, Matt. You've done great. Because when I first met you, you were, correct me if I'm wrong, a college radio guy. Was that
Yes,
right?
yes.
And where was it? Was it somewhere outside New York?
Yeah, New Jersey, remember? Like, and I would do
Right,
the,
that's it. And who was I with? House of Love.
yeah, a bunch of, you brought so many different bands, came through. And you and I
Yeah.
also met, we hung out in New Music Seminar back in the day. And,
Yeah, no, I know. I've met you loads and loads of times, and then you got really big with MTV, the 90s and the noughties. It was great. Great, well done, man.
yeah, yeah, I'm grateful. I got to be honest with you, Alan. It's been a hell of a ride, And I know,
Matt, of course we all are, because look, being honest about it, I haven't had a real job since I was 20 fucking two. I started managing the Mary chain at 22, and I'm now 59, and I've still not got a real job. I still manage a few bands and put records out, and like I've got a film coming. I've got I do Q&As. It's like I'm still not really have a real job. Do you know what I mean? Which is fucking death, man. You know what I mean? Because I've had some shit fucking jobs. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely, man. I know, and me too. I mean, which I'm grateful that we've been able to work in around music, love with the passion, which is so cool because you know how much I've loved Creation Records, for all these.
Man. Yeah.
I remember, it's just funny. I just look at, I think about all the list of the people that you find and onto. Plus, I'm loving a lot of the same stuff, like growing up because, I saw this list of albums that you loved, and I saw that Ziggy and Diamond Dogs are both on there, which are my two favorite books as well.
Yeah. And no, I mean it's great. I mean I've had a great life out of loving music, because when I was a kid, Matt, it was just like a glam rock fiend. Really, I was into T-Rex and Slade, and Bowie was the main one for me. And then it was like punk, and then they were my heroes. Now I'm friends with all these guys like Glenn and Lydon and Steve Jones, and I was friends with Strummer. And then I managed to Mary chain, and then I sort of get in the game, and then I found out kind of quickly, oh fuck, you actually get a talent for finding bands, and that was it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you do. I mean, without a question, it's amazing.
But I've just been happy. Just as a joke, I mean, it's great that I've got a record company and like, I've got a name for being a big manager and all that. But the truth is, Matt, I'd have been quite happy being a roadie. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like Noel started out, right? With inspiring Noel. I think, you're like the same way I am. I would have I'm so grateful. I'm like, wow, I actually am doing this for a living. I would have done it anyway. It didn't matter. I just love it like you do. Hey, so tell me about Alan, when you and Bobby and were you kids when you first met? Like, tell me about those early days there.
Well, I met Bob when he was 11 and I was 12, and we were sort of around. He was a football kid. He wasn't a gang kid. He wasn't. But there was little gangs going on and everything like that. But he wasn't one of these kids. And I was a music kid. But we sort of kind of like that. Me and Bob, until punk came along in '76 in Glasgow, the end of '76, and me and Bob, Jim Kerr and Charlie Burchill, Jake from Alabama 3 and Ian Donaldson from H2O. That was the first punk rockers in Glasgow. I was 15, Bob was 14, and that's when we became best friends. Do you know what I mean? And then we would go to the gigs, and then we started little crap punk bands called. We never played a show, Matt. But I was like 16, bought a bass. Bob was 15. And then it just developed for there. You know what I mean? Me and Andrew, he's known as Innocent Primal. We went to London. We formed a little post-punk band, Laughing Apple. Didn't really get anywhere. Put 2 or 3 singles out. John Peel liked us, all that sort of nonsense. Started a record label and a club. Well, started a club, made money, and went, oh, what do I do with all this money? Because back in the day, I was only 21 and I was making about 700 a week English pounds, about $1,000 a week out of putting shows on, little indie shows. So I thought I'll put out some records. I put out 10 or 11 records. None of them really worked, you know, as in sold. They were great for me. I liked them, but nobody really bought them. Put out the Bandits on Your T-shirt, the Jesus and Mary chain.
Yeah.
Sold 50,000 records in the first month, and I was like, oh, this works.
Wow.
And then it was the House of Love, then it was My Bloody Valentine, then it was Ride, then it was St Etienne, then it was the Boo Radleys, then it's the Teenage Fan Club. It just got big and big and big. It got Sugar, just spiraled.
Yeah, I love that you signed Sugar and you signed Bob. You know what I mean? So
yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, he's amazing.
Isn't he great? I mean, love him.
I love Bob Mould. I absolutely love him, man.
Yeah, he's amazing. So tell me about when things started to happen there with the Mary chain at that period of time. First of all, naming the label after The Creation, which, you know, those songs are so great, making all that stuff. You were obviously a fan of all those cool 60s, glam stuff. But
well, how I got that was I was really into when I was a kid, when I was 18 or 19. I always loved to jam for the first album, and then when Weller started a record company, when I'd just come to London when I was 19, I was sending Weller demos. I've never told Paul this. I'm friends with Paul, and I was sending him demos, and he was writing back to me. But he's never put McGee, the Oasis guy, who he's big mates with Noel Gallagher. That was the little kid that I was writing to at one point. And I didn't sign to Paul or anything, but I always idolised Paul Weller. Do you know what I mean? And I still do, actually. You know, when I meet him, I still kind of go, oh my God, he's great. And then what happened was that I was reading the back sleeve of All Mod Cons, and it said, The Creation, Biff Bang Pow, Making Time.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a great name. And I took The Creation and called it Creation Records. Do you know what I mean? And the joke is, man, it's like, I never knew this till Google and the internet about 2000, when I put it in one day. Robert Stigwood had a company back in '67 called Creation Records that didn't last for long, 6 months or a year. But Robert Stigwood had it before me.
That's really funny. And of course, then he did RSO, right? So he's fine. You know, he did fine. But I love the Jam because they're one of my favorite bands as well. And you know, I interviewed Weller when I was like 18, you know, with a tape recorder when I was in college. And but I just, the Jam were so great. And that's how I found out about The Creation too, even over on this side of it. Because, you know, they never really had a hit here, even though the single did come to America. They maybe bubbled under like 97. But those records are great. And then you formed Bit Bang Pow too, which was...
Yeah. Well, the reason I've done that was that I was friends with the TV personalities, and when I met Dan Tracy, he's so important for the history of what we do, the TV personalities guy, you know, and he was, his whole ethos was punk rock and psychedelia, and all Creation Records was, in the beginning, was a pastiche of the TV personalities and Wham Records. But we, of course, I said that we merged out of that, you know, within a couple of years. But in the beginning, that's all it really was. It was just going, I want to be in on this scene. Do you know what I mean? You know, a very niche scene. It was like maybe 2,000 people, the whole of the world, were into that whole, you know, punk rock and psychedelic thing that Dan was doing. And I jumped on it, and I was just doing it. And then it became its own thing, Matt. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely. It's really cool how you did. So, since you were friends with Bob, meeting the Reed brothers, tell me how that all started. Were you, you know, obviously they grew up.
Well, how I met the Reeds was through Bobby Gillespie, and Bob was friends with him, and they had sent a demo tape to a Glasgow promoter who thought they were rubbish, but there was Sid Barrett demos on the other side of the cassette. And because Bobby loved Sid Barrett, the promoter gave Bobby and said, "Oh, these are." I think it was like It was that album that never came out. I think it was Opal. I mean, it eventually came out, but back in 83, 84, it hadn't come out. And he gave these demos, I think Baby Lemonade and all that sort of stuff, you know. And from that, you know, he said, he met them and everything, and he went, my friend's got a club, Alan McGee, you know, contact him. And they sent me a demo, Matt, that's interestingly, it was like the Ramones. There was no feedback on it whatsoever. It wasn't what they became within the first record. The demo was like William chugging along, but the songs were there. It was Upside Down and Never Understand were there, but it was just chugging along. And then they came down to my club June 1984 during the miners' strike in England, and they came down, and I walked in, and they were just starting to play. I think they were playing Ambition, Subway Sect, and they put their instruments down at the end of the song, and literally, I'm not taking the piss, started battering fuck out each other, right? And that was Jim and William were literally kicking each other's heads in. And the other one, Douglas Hart, looked like James Dean. He was only 17, 16, looked immaculate, big tall boy, but decked out in leather like James Dean. And I just thought, what a band. So, of course, me being me, I went up, can I be your manager? And they didn't know what they were doing because they said, okay. And that was the beginning of me and the Mary Chain. And that just blew up so fast, Matt, because what happened with that was that that single got us a deal with Warner Brothers because Creation had no money at that point. Yeah. And it quickly just blew right up into a big, big deal. And then Warner Brothers Publishing phoned me up and said, we'll sign the band for the publishing. And I didn't even really understand what was selling, if I was being honest. I knew it was something to do with songs. And the guy was like, how much do you want? And I was like, 60 grand, taking the piss, because I had no idea what it was even worth, really. Yeah. And he went 20 grand, realising I was just bluffing. And I went, what about 40? And he went, done. And then I got off the phone, Matt, and I was like, I've just made 8 grand. I think that was good. Do you know what I mean? You know, because at that time, Matt, I was working for British Rail for 12 grand a year. And in 5 minutes, I just made 8 grand. And back in 1984, that was a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I was like, right, that was good. And then we put out Psycho Candy. That blew up. Well, before that, one of the reasons we blew up, we did this gig at London Polytechnic. We'd signed to Warner Brothers. And we did a gig at London, the Polytechnic, North London Polytechnic. And there was a riot because 2 football crowds had come to fight each other. But luckily, I had a Canadian news channel that were filming Creation and the Mary Chain. And when the riot kicked off, I said to the news channel, film the riot. And that's that riot that I'm sure you've seen. But it was only because we had Canadian news people there. So we filmed the riot. They showed it. I then got a copy of the show, this riot. And then I proceeded to send it out to the British media. And we blew up. We really, off the back of that, then we did The Mary Chain, Psycho Candy, brilliant seminal record. And then we started touring America. I might even have met you that tour. Did I meet you that tour?
Yeah, you did. You definitely did.
Right. I don't remember it, but knowing you, I probably did meet you.
Yeah.
And we came out, and I was 22 or 23, managing a band that were the same age as me. We were chancing it, Matt. We were so chancing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was great. It's great. And then to see, you know, like, you know, just to see also, like, you know, how things went and continued to move with the different records. But
yeah,
you know, that record, even like, you know, I listen to like acoustic versions of "You Trip Me Up," and you're songs even so great, right?
They're a seminal band, man. They're one of the great bands.
They really, absolutely are. So, what it was like when you first toured America? I mean, what was your impression? You obviously had, there were certain bands that you loved over here too that were probably. So, who were some of the American bands?
It was amazing. I can remember great. I mean, this is a weird thing to tell you, but I can remember being in Detroit, in a motel in Detroit, right? And Bruce Springsteen came on, going, "It was my hometown." You remember that track?
Yeah.
And I remember like lying in the bed, and the tour had been crazy. You know, it was like just a Mary Chain mad tour. And I can remember just lying in my bed, Bruce Springsteen singing "My Hometown," and I was like, it was just a great moment. You really knew you were in America. It was like in a motel in Detroit, Bruce Springsteen, and it was like Bruce Springsteen. Because there was nothing I could find on the radio, and it was all rubbish, and it was rubbish and rubbish. But in the middle, they played Bruce Springsteen, and I was like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
exactly. And I think for me, Bruce Springsteen encapsulates America in a lot of ways, in a great way. You know what I mean? You know, just great. I mean, it's not that I'm that any Bruce Springsteen, because I'm not, but when the good songs are tremendous, do you know what I mean? But he is the American thing of the 80s, isn't he? He was the thing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So about Sonny Guy Chadwick in the House of Love, because I just...
Yeah. Do you know what, Matt? He sent me his demos the other week, and like Monday or Tuesday. Monday night, he sent me his new House of Love demos. They're still a good band. I saw them a year and a half ago at the Roundhouse to 3,000 people. Matt, they're still great. They're a great band.
Yeah, I've always loved them, man. You know, and one of my favorite...
I remember you were a big fan, man.
Yeah, and I just flipped over Destroy the Heart. Like, I love that single so much.
Yeah.
You know, the way it started, like, it just was so powerful, bombastic to the last note. You know, I love it. Lyrics are great. You know, of course, that debut album, all that stuff. No, I can't wait to hear his. It's great. Is he going to put it? Are you going to put out like anything with him?
I don't know. He was trying to get me to put it out in Creation 23, but the thing I see Creation 23 as, Matt, is that I think it should be about new bands. It shouldn't be about me putting out albums by my old pals. It's like, because I told him what to do. I said, like, go get John Leckie to produce it. Go and get 20 grand for You Fund Me. Give John the 20 grand and get a great record. You know what I mean? Because he's got the songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. He's so great. There's no question. I love him.
Yeah.
And what about the guys in Ride? Because those series of EPs that came out. Tell me about
Brilliant band. Brilliant. Well, Sire put that out in America, and I can remember going in to see Joe McEwen, the A&R guy, and I'd already Primal Screaming the Valentines with him, and I played them. And before I walked out that office, literally within a half hour, he got Seymour. Seymour had listened to it, and the deal was done. They signed to Sire.
Yeah, which was amazing, right?
Yeah.
I love those records, all of them. You know, Blank Again.
Brilliant.
He's like nowhere in song. The second one, Taste, all that. So,
Yeah.
Actually, which I love. But you signed all these bands that I absolutely love. Let's talk about, like, were you friends with the Times too? Because I know there was.
I was listening to that today. Ed Ball, he's one of my best mates, but he's went away for the last 10 years. He's been reclusive in Margate, but by the sea, and I haven't seen him physically in about 10 years. But I was listening to that a E for Edward record this morning on Spotify.
Yeah.
Such a great record. I mean, so great. That French film Blurred. Do you know that track?
Yeah.
Awesome. Genius, total genius.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I love when you Pensioners on Acid. Remember that?
Pensioners on Ecstasy.
That's right. Pensioners on Ecstasy. That EP, that compilation was so good, and I love the dance version. I helped Patrick McGoo escape on it. It was great. Like, you guys did that because I was a big Prisoner fan too. You know, and I love all that.
Yeah.
I love that song and turned it into a dance record on the end of that. It was so cool.
Yeah, Ed Ball was brilliant. He was great, you know, and times great records. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we put out a lot of Edward's records. You know what I mean? Did you ever hear any of the solo records in the mid-90s that he put out?
Yeah,
he nearly broke. We were getting a lot of play on the radio.
Yeah, there was really great stuff then too. You know, which I think is very cool. So, you know, there was another question that I had for you about Primals, because, you know, obviously Bobby's the sound changed from, you know, the Sonic album, Sonic Fire Boom, to moved So tell me when you realized things were starting to happen and how the experimental side became Screamadelica. And Loaded.
Well, what happened with Matt was that I signed him in '83. I mean, he was my friend, he was my best pal, but I signed him in '83, and then eventually we put a couple of singles. We signed him to Warner's. It didn't work. He came back for the second album in the late '80s, and we did the second album, and it didn't work. We were sending them up, but the audiences were decreasing. I'd had them for 6.5 years, and the audiences were decreasing. It started about, we got them up to about 1,000 people a night, and it was down to about 200 people a night, and it was crashing, right? And then I went to a rave, and at 8 or 9 in the morning, I ran into Andy Weatherall in a new order, Touch for the Hand of God t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I was down on the ground looking, and he went, "What are you looking for?" And I was so off my head, I was looking for ecstasy in the ground because I presumed somebody had dropped an ecstasy and I wanted more ecstasy. Yeah. And we kind of bonded. I just think he thought I was a fucking freak. But I was with Bob, and I said, "Andy, this is Bobby," and they talked. And then what happened is that a guy that I was very good friends with, Jeff Barrett, Heavenly Records, you might have met Jeff. Yeah. Jeff sent, he was doing press for us. He sent Andy Weatherall to Plymouth or somewhere like that to Portsmouth, I think it was, to review Primal Scream. And they came back, and then it was decided that Andy Weatherall would do a dance mix of I'm Losing More Than I'll Ever Have.
Yeah.
All we thought it was going to be was a B-side, an extra track and a B-side, and a 12-inch. We didn't think anything of it. And then we got it, and it took 2 or 3 mixes to get it right, because I wanted Bobby in it, and the band were going, "No, McGee, it's an instrumental, blah, blah, blah." I was like, all right, okay. So eventually, I just let it happen. Still thought no more of it, and we put the record out to the clubs, and everybody came back, and it was, and nobody was bothering about I'm Losing More Than I Ever Have. Everybody was unloaded. So about 2 or 3 weeks into the dance promotion, about 2 months before the record came out, I remastered the vinyl, and we came out and we put Loaded out, and that was it. They were off, you know.
Yeah, exploded. I love that. You know, and using that Wild Angels intro with just was
yeah. I think Jane Fonda, Seymour, at a certain point, Seymour got Jane Fonda, because it was nearly a hit in America, I'm told. I don't know if that's true, but I'm told it was nearly a hit in America. And Seymour got Jane Fonda to go and ask Peter Fonda for permission, which he did.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's great to hear. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you got Bobby in there in the middle, too. And you know, you and I talk about the bands that you and I love, like Stone Roses, of course, we love.
Yeah, brilliant.
Gold, right? With Full Gold, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Like the
brilliant.
Beast, you know, that's
amazing. I wish I'd signed them.
Yeah, was there a time when you almost did, or like?
No, I was nowhere near the Laz and Stone Roses. I was nowhere near, Matt. I wish I'd signed them, but you know, I didn't even know they were going on. And then when There She Goes, the Laz and Elephant Stone, not Elephant Stone, when She Bangs the Drums came out, the Roses, then I was like, oh, amazing.
Yeah, the second one, that was like, Elephant Stone. I mean, that was the first single that was available over here as an import in the States.
Yeah.
I'm completely in love with it. Another band that, you know, that big fans of Creation Records and yours love is Adorable. That was also like Sunshine. Yeah. Boy, I love such great songs. Tell me about those guys. Find those.
Well, how did I find them? I went to an NME 1992 NME week. I think it was January. And remember, they used to do a week of bands, and they were playing with Suede. And I wasn't into the Suede thing. Suede ended up being much better than I could ever give them credit for. They made some great records. But Adorable were supporting Suede that night, and I signed Adorable. And then everybody was in for Adorable. But I suppose coming off the back of Screamadelica, we were the company that people wanted to sign to. So we got them, and it should have happened. The only reason it didn't happen really was that the band themselves were like, do you know what I mean? They were good guys, but they didn't understand the business. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah.
What can you do?
Yeah, they're kind of running uphill with like a bag of sand on their back.
I think a lot of the time they thought we were the enemy, and it's like, no, we're your record company. We're on your side. You know?
Yeah, I know that's crazy when you're trying to help them out because you want them to be successful.
Yeah. Good boys, you know. They're nice guys, but you know, it was just they could have got it wrong, you know, that part.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so but I mean, Swerve Driver were another band that I loved that you signed and found with Son of Mustang Ford and Rave Down. That stuff was so great. Tell me about that one.
Oh, they were great. It was Mark Gardner told me about them, and I was in LA when I put the tape on. I was in a limo, same tour that I met you, in a fucking limo, going round Los Angeles with Guy Chadwick, and we thought we were the bollocks in a limo, and we put on the Swerve Driver demo, and I was like, what do you think? It's like the Stooges at Son of Mustang Ford, and he was like, you got to do it, McGee, and like I phoned him and I'll meet me when I get back to Los Angeles. You know what I mean? Same tour that we were doing. I think me and Guy were over doing radio stations. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah, and that's when you guys came in and we had a good time. It was really cool.
Yeah.
It was really awesome. So I got to talk to you too about obviously Oasis, but you know, one of the things I want to talk about, the Creation Record Story documentary was great too. I love that.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah.
Because I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, I actually watched it recently, and it is better than I remember it. You know, I mean, at the time I was not sure about it.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, because there's, but I loved it. I mean, you know, as a fan of the label and yours and all the artists, I thought it was really great. So I'm so excited about the biopic. I mean, you know, Danny Boyle's one of my favorite directors.
Yeah. I've seen it for 4 or 5 times now. It's really great, man. I just wanted it to come out, you know.
Yeah. So can you tell me how that went down? Where was he a fan of yours? Read the book? What was the thing with him?
I think he liked me. I don't really know. I mean, I think he just was, you know, because like Ewan Bremner's on there and Nick Moran's, he's big mates with Nick Moran, and they just got him. You know, they said, "Do you want to come jump on and produce this?" So he did jump in. You know.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it's good people we've got. We've got Ewan Bremner playing me. That's Spud for Trainspotting. We get Nick Moran directing it. We get Danny Boyle producing it, and we get Irvin Welsh who wrote the scripts. You know. Yeah,
all great people, right?
It's good. It's a good film, man. You know. I mean, it won't be a hit, but it might be a cult hit, which will be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'll be enough. I mean, that's a great.
Yeah, totally.
It's just your story is so fascinating to me. It's cool. I mean, you like I said, a music fan, and as a kid, so I can't. You know,
I'm still a music fan, man. I mean, my buzz. I mean, I only work with the bands I managed. It's like Happy Mondays and Cast and Las Vegas. It's only bands that I really love. Do you know what I mean? That I'll manage, and then the bands that I put out on my little label. It's all new bands. It's like Jugs, Clockworks, you know, K's, you know what I mean, Shambolic. So it's just all like, I've got a great girl now, great girl singer, Cat SFX. So, you know, so it's going to be good, you know.
I love that you're doing that. I'm glad you decided to do Creation 23, and it's cool.
Yeah. It's great fun, man.
Yeah, it's really cool. So how are people, did people know you were starting the label? Did some of these bands reach out to you?
Yeah. I mean, they do, yeah. Lots of people do, you know. And we've just started releasing records again, you know, we just put one out yesterday, it's Clockwork single, and we're just revving up. We're going to put out a single a month through this crazy time, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think people love that and need it as well.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So tell me, what was like? Let's go back to when you were a kid. What was one of the first live gigs you saw when you were young?
What was one of the first? Sorry,
concerts, live shows you saw, like a gig. What was one of the earliest gigs you went to?
I saw Slade in 71 or 72 at the Apollo in Glasgow. And I just remember hearing, look what you've done. Just genius, you know what I mean? You know, get down and get with it. And I saw loads of people. I saw Ginger Baker, Baker Gurbutt's Army. Yeah, I saw Rock Day, saw Bowie, I saw T-Rex, I saw Ronnie Lane, I saw Steve Gibbons, I saw Alex Harvey, I saw loads, you know. So Queen, Alex Harvey, sensational Alex Harvey, man.
I loved him, you know, sensational Alex Harvey.
Yeah. I mean, basically, if it came, because I had this paper job in Glasgow, and I was making loads of money out of that for a kid. I was like about 11, but I was making about 20 quid a week because I was stealing the papers. I was like, because what happened is if you went in at 6:30, you got 60% of the paper money. It was a paper that was paid for by the advertisers, and they sold it for 10 pence. But it was one of these, you know, it's just one of these mad things. And so you would get 6 pence in the 10 pence if you went at 6:30. But if you went at 5:30, Matt, you could just nick 200 papers. So I did that for 2 or 3 years, and I was making about 20 quid a week. Do you know what I mean? And so that's why I went to the gigs and bought the records. And I didn't know what I was doing at that time, but what I was actually doing in hindsight was I got myself a musical education. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely you did. And it's funny that you said that because 11 years old is when I started delivering papers too. Seriously, right? Which is lawns, you know, in New Jersey. Yeah. But I love that you did that. So what? I mean, these are great bands I never got to see. Never got to see Slade back then, or you know, like T-Rex. Tell me, I mean, Noddy Holder, what an underrated singer too, right? I mean, he's so great.
Oh, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, to be honest, Slade are just like the glam rock Oasis.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's the Oasis guitar sound as Slade. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely it is. It is with that folk crunch and, you know, and everything. Goodbye to all those great tracks. I love them. So good. Well, looking back now, with signing Oasis and you know, that documentary on Definitely Maybe that I saw recently, but I mean, there's been a bunch of, were you at a point where after you signed them doing that, when you guys were doing, you know, Definitely Maybe, and they re-recorded the whole thing, where you were like, oh man, I don't know, is this going to come out all right? Or what did you feel like?
I didn't know. I mean, it took a lot of work. We recorded it with the sensational Alex Harvey band producer, Dave Batchelor. Yeah. And we recorded it. It didn't work. We scrapped it. It cost me 50 grand. We then went in with Mark Coyle, the live engineer, recorded it. It sent Mark into a big studio to mix it. He couldn't mix it. So we were like, and then I got ill and got put in rehab. And then Noel and Marcus were coming to the rehab to play me the Oasis record. We still couldn't get it right. And then his manager, Marcus, went, let's get Owen Morris. And we got Owen in, and Owen he did Rock and Roll Star one day, sorted it. And I was suddenly, we gave him the album, got the sound, and that was it. But it took us about 8 or 9 months to get that record, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it came out great. It's
brilliant. What a record, man.
Yeah, and I love a story about the little going and recording on the little island, you know what I mean? Like in the boat, kind of stuff out there. Just crazy misadventures, you know, but it's absolutely a great record. Did it ever blow your mind? You're like, well, when Morning Glory came out, realizing that it was the soundtrack of a generation, and besides being...
They were big at that point. We'd already had... We'd already had Roll with it. Do you know what I mean? It was 3 or 4 months after Roll with it. So we knew it was a big record, do you know what I mean? But we didn't know that. When I heard initially, when I heard Wonderwall, I actually went, and we'd sold 6 or 7 million, definitely maybe. But when I heard Wonderwall, I went, God, we're going to sell 10 million. And I was wrong. It's sold 23 million at this point. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, but we just didn't know. We didn't know. I mean, it was like we heard it and I went, God, it's going to be massive. But massive to me in '95 was The Cure.
Yeah.
not the Beatles. I thought we're going to be as big as Secure. Do you know what I mean? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. And then all those incredible.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Look now, what is it? Is it like the number 6 biggest selling album in the history of the UK?
I think it's the third. It's the third biggest ever. Yeah, yeah. It's at 4 in the UK. It's at 4.3 million. But just to, I mean, we're only 70 million, so that's a lot of people. That means there's probably 1 in 18 people have got it or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Which is amazing. About it. It's kind of like, because the last time something was like that, I guess in '72, Mark Bolan and T-Rex were made up for like 8% of all records.
I know.
Huge number, you know what I mean? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Those great records. That was the year of the Slider and everything. And
what a record! Yeah, great.
So great, right? But and also, what do you think? Like when Noel was writing all those great B-sides, like we were talking about Better People, Rockin' Chair, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Were you like, as we were bringing in the singles, wow.
I know I was. I mean, I remember when we were doing Wonderwall at Maison Rouge, I think it was, we'd recorded Wonderwall. We were doing the B-sides, and I remember going and hearing the master plan, and I was sitting with Liam listening to it, and we were like, this cannot be a B-side. And Noel just dismissed it and went, what do you two know?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. Those B-sides were, it's really funny. I remember saying on the radio in America, I'm like, these Oasis B-sides are better than most bands' A-sides. I mean, their stuff was...
Beyond. I mean, look, for most bands, the master plan, it would be a career high for nearly every other band. So that's why it was like, it's so mad that he didn't even put it as a B-side, he put it as the 4th track on the CD for Wonderwall.
It didn't even make the 7-inch singles, like,
No, I don't think it even made the 7-inch.
Because I know on the back of Roll it's Better People on the 7-inch, which I love that song. I mean, that EP, everything. And those records were so great. It was so...
I got that wrong. If we'd held back these tracks, then there would have been the third really, really strong Oasis album, because the B-sides would have been the other album, essentially. It would have padded out all the other records. But I suppose that's just the way it goes. I mean, we just thought it was going to go on forever. Obviously, it didn't. But we all thought that collectively, that we thought this is forever,
Yeah, because I mean, Noel was a writing machine. I mean, there's so many. I mean, so great, and just it was so strong. It was so prolific, I mean, I know that he's even said, he goes, "Man, I wish I'd saved those songs for the third album," but it happened the way it was meant to happen, And
it is what it is. It is what it is, mate.
Hey, was your idea those cool promotional like cigarette boxes with the?
Oh no, none of that's me. I mean, I've never been the merch guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you're the music guy. Like, certainly. I mean, we're the same age, so we love the same stuff. And I love British and British music. I was always, I didn't get to go there till like the late '80s, but it was so.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. Yeah.
How were those Roxy gigs when you were young?
Amazing. I mean, Eno was flamboyant. Brian Ferry was in a leopard skin jacket. Looked amazing. I saw Brian Ferry in the late 90s at some posh do, and he still looked amazing. And you were like, do you know what I mean? How do you still look that great? And this was like 25 years later. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he does. He's always had that suave, amazing.
He looked amazing. He still had the absolutely stunningly beautiful women with him, and he just looked immaculate. And you were like, fair play, dude. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I love those records. I mean, I even love the records, after Eno left. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff. There's
brilliant. Oh, they were brilliant. Roxy were brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely incredible band. So I'm glad they, I'm glad they started playing shows again when they did that whole.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, tell me about when you decided to start Creation 23. What was the process? Because you're going to there's a bunch of really cool young bands.
Yeah, I just think all it is we're doing 7-inch singles. At the moment, we're not even doing 7-inch singles. I'm just doing them digitally because the record plants aren't working anymore. Not at the moment. But I think I'm just going to leave it this year as digital releases. But we're just, I mean, it's just there's a lot of good bands. I mean, how I found Jugs, the Los Angeles band that's playing tonight, was I managed a Happy Mondays, and Paul Ryder, the bass player in the Mondays, said, "Oh, McGee, I've been producing some bands, blah blah blah," and I'll send you it. And then I was in the train going back, and he sent me a super cool time, and it's amazing. And then I know Harry, their manager, and then through I don't know how I know Harry, but I knew Harry. I think through the Mondays I knew him a little bit, and ended up putting that one out. That was the second one. It's a great record. But yeah, just like you run into bands. It's like how you find bands, Matt. You just run into people, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so true. It absolutely is. You run into people, or you're at a gig, you see a band that's opening up that isn't signed. It's somebody will say, "Hey, man, if you heard this band yet?" It's always and guys like you and I are always inquisitive. We want to know what's new because there's always great music coming out.
But the style of music I like, the kind of indie rock and roll psychedelic thing. There's loads of little bands because the majors are not signing these bands anymore. So there is the quality of these bands is great. You know what I mean? K's are doing great. They just sold out the Ritz. Clockworks are doing great in Ireland. We've got to break them in England, but great band. They're just Shambolics are selling out Scotland. So in the local areas, all these bands are doing pretty well. We just got to make it. Do you know what I mean? The whole thing,
You got to make it through this whole COVID thing, which is so crazy.
Yeah,
people we love and care about, friends are, out of work and waiting for touring to kick up again, and just I mean, I still go out to shows all the time before the COVID gigs, and because I love seeing live music and discovering new stuff, and boy, it's been a great adjustment, right?
Yeah.
How's it been for you over there with your family? And how old's your daughter now? Is she?
She's 19, and my son's 31. I just saw my son earlier on. I mean, I saw my daughter recently. And she's, they're both great. They both are. They're just into their own thing with the music. I mean, Daniel likes hip hop, and that's the boy, and Charlie, the girl, she likes Elliott Smith. Do you know what I mean? So I'm the teenage fan club.
Yeah.
It's slow dive, what I mean? She likes kind of records like that,
Isn't it wild how a lot of people are going back, young people are going back and discovering that stuff? It's, like you said.
I think that stuff never really went away. Do you know what I mean? Slow dive now are bigger than when I put the records out. When I put the records out in the early 90s, we started, the first one went in the charts about 42, then the next one, I think, no, both went in. The first and second album in, and I think it was like 34 and in that area. But by the time we got to the third album, it never even made the top 100. Nobody was coming to the shows. They split up for the next 20 years. And then because of the internet, everybody had found out about the slow dive. It was actually, I think it was to do with Pitchfork. And suddenly now when they play Europe, they're headlining festivals, Matt. They headlined Benicassim, you know what I mean? Primavera, I think it was. They're really big festivals, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's really cool. I love that.
Brilliant. I love that too, yeah.
They're a great band too, and I love all that.
I put them on. I signed them to SBK. Do you remember that record company?
Yeah, SBK was like that. What was I forgot
Charles.
Charles Koppelman, right? Yeah. It was.
And I signed Slow Dive. I mean, what a weird match. The Mutant Ninja Turtles label gave me loads of money to sign Slow Dive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's crazy going back. But it's cool how you're right. Ride. People are still love rock. Still come to the States as well, which is and it's like that over in Europe too. Is it?
Yeah, they're popular everywhere. These bands are still all big. I mean, you know, if Oasis came back, it would be stadiums. Primals are still big. Swerve Driver, Slow Dive, Teenage Fan Club, they're still all touring, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Teenage Fan Club did like 2 dates here in LA, and they were great.
Yeah. What's that?
Oh, Alan, I was going to ask you, should also talk about doing Pop Tones when you decided to go and do that label as well.
Oh, yeah.
Cool, you know, it was great, and I love that you named it after the Public Image Limited song.
I phoned John up, and I went, I'm going to call the label Pop Tones. Are you cool with that? And he was totally cool. And I had the club that ended up being not massive, but a big club in London called Death Disco. Did you ever go to that, Matt?
Yeah, I did. I did get to go.
Yeah. It's a really popular club. I didn't realise how popular it was when I was doing it, if I was being really honest. I was just, to me, it was just, because I was drinking then, you know, I got sober in '94, relapsed for a couple of years. So I was really just doing the club to get pissed, to be absolutely honest. You know what I mean? And I had no idea that it was a really popular club till years later, and everybody then says, we loved that club, McGee, you know?
Yeah.
And then I signed some good bands, man. Signed Cosmic Rough Riders.
Yeah.
The Hives. Do you know what I mean? So it was some good bands, man.
Yeah, Cosmic Rough Riders are really cool. I love
Great
them.
band. Yeah, great band.
Here in the States on like Sirius XM when it was just Sirius. I would sell those records on Pop Tones, and it was great. It was really cool. But and it's so and then in the management side of things, when you tell me about, I mean, after 25 years when you retired for a little while, that was so you could spend some time raising your daughter. Did you feel break in that period of time, or was it?
I didn't manage it. I mean, creation's like a life work, really, now. Because that's, you know, it sounds as if it's not out. It was. I'm only making sense of it now. Because from '83, I've had Creation Records. For the mid-'80s, I've had Creation Songs, which is a publishing company. And for the mid-'80s, I've had the management company. And even though when the record company stopped in the '90s, I've always had the publishing all the way through. I've published all the bands. Unfortunately, the rights ran out on Oasis, and I don't publish them anymore. But I published the Primal. I know that was great, though. But I published the Primals, the Valentines, all these bands, and which was great. And so I realised recently that creation's a sort of life work, because it's been since early '80s I've been doing this thing called creation, whether it's publishing, management, or records, you know.
Yeah, you've always been doing it. And speaking of Valentines, Kevin Shields, My Bloody Valentine. Tell me about discovering them, because man, all those early singles too, and things like.
Brilliant. No, he was just I was on to them about '85. I saw them play a show. The girls were in the group, and it was pretty good. It was kind of like the Who. It wasn't that noisy. It was more like a goth band meets the Who, if that's. But it wasn't. It was. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't quite there. Then the next year I went to see them. That must have been '86. I saw them the very first time, and it was pretty good. Then they got worse in time in '87, and it was like 30 Japanese girls at the front and everybody else at the back, and it just wasn't quite. It went down. The girls had joined the band by that point, but the music was kind of heading down. And then I went to see them because I had bands on the bill in Chatham Town Hall, and they just blew me away. And we signed them. I just went, "Oh, do you want to be in creation?" And we put them in, and they did You Made Me Realise. You Made Me Realise was meant to be the fifth track on an EP. And I was like, I think Kevin had done the noise, but as a piss taker, Sonic Youth, not take the piss out of him, but that's what he was doing. He was like being Sonic Youth just to see. And I said, no, that's the single. It blew up, put them in for the album, and he did it really quickly. It didn't cost a lot of money, man. It was cost $7 or $8 grand. We started getting it together. That record ended up being a gold record in Britain. and then we went in and done Loveless. It was painful record to make, but maybe the best record I've ever been involved in. But it took about 2.5 years, you know.
Was that just because of something like was Kevin just having trouble doing it, going through it?
I don't know. I don't know. I think he just became a perfectionist. Usually when people go that way, it's never a good record, but he pulled it off. It was great, you know.
It's genius, and you know.
Yeah.
Like it's just so, you know,
it's a great record.
It's incredible. So, you know, Alan, I so love this. And when you get back to the States, I really want to connect with you, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Listen, yeah, I mean, man.
Fantastic.
All right, man. Talking to you, baby.
All right, man. So great.
Right.
So great.
All right, boys. Have a good one today. All right. Be good. Bye.